ministers, asking you to help me to make those quick. I know we have cabinet and we need to leave some time for questions from the media. All right, Minister Vaz, everybody looks forward to your updates. And so we're looking forward to your updates, and JPS, I know, will be included in your update. You'll be giving some info on that, and that's another one that a lot of Jamaicans want to know about.
Morning to Jamaica, morning to my colleague ministers, permanent secretaries, heads of agencies, head of the JDF, and of course, all others who are in the room here. So, as the country continues to recover from Hurricane Melissa, here are some updates on the most important areas of restoration. Our fuel supply network is stabilizing quickly, with full service resumed at West Indies Petroleum from October 27. Most gas stations are opening back in the West, and I'm happy to say for those areas that are still not getting the regular service from the petrol stations, on Monday we have 10 mobile fuel stations that will go out to specific areas guided to me by the JDF and ODPEM that will be able to set up and operate on generators, and will also be able to sell kerosene, which is very, very important at this time. But I expect that most, based on the report, most petrol stations are reopening and have made arrangements to be able to supply, especially in the hardest hit areas. We are arranging for police escorts to navigate the traffic and also for security reasons as well. As it relates to road clearance and access, access has now been restored along key corridors across the island, connecting Ocho Rios to Port Antonio, Morant Bay to Kingston, Mandeville to Black River, and through to Negril and through to Montego Bay. This progress has been vital in enabling supplies, relief items, essential workers to reach affected communities. However, some interior routes in St. Elizabeth and St. James and Westmoreland are still limited to single-lane traffic due to fallen trees and flooding. National Works Agency crews are prioritizing full two-lane clearance for key routes connecting rural communities to Montego Bay and Savla Mar. Telcos, most of Jamaica's community and public Wi-Fi networks are offline, particularly in western parishes, affecting over 150 communities. To restore connectivity, the Universal Service Fund is deploying Starlink satellite solutions, starting with Betheltown, Westmoreland, and rolling 15 installations over the next week. Mobile units are also being deployed to provide Wi-Fi and charging stations in affected communities. Over the next 6 weeks, USF aims to deliver at least 90 community connectivity solutions in the affected areas, meaning people will be able to stay in their communities and communicate. Starting today, the JDF is airlifting Starlink units and generators into isolated communities to establish community Wi-Fi hubs and support humanitarian operations. Starlink is being used to restore mobile backhaul for 4 and digital towers in the West, helping to connect 250,000 people in the affected areas. In addition, hospitals and emergency services are now using Starlink to stay connected, request supplies, and coordinate relief and more. We got 600 Starlink, 400 fixed, and 200 mobiles last week, Friday night. And I'm pleased to say that all have been given out in priority order for the affected areas. Sorry. Some would want 20, but we could only give them 10. But we're making sure that the next batch we will give optimum to all of the relief agencies that require. I'm making a public appeal to those government entities, agencies, NGOs that are being allocated these. They're of no use unless they are activated. If they are not activated, they are of no use. And I cannot get more if Starlink sees that there's no activity on the 600. As of yesterday, there was about 30%. So I'm calling on all heads of agencies, permanent secretaries, ministers, NGOs who have received these to please instruct for immediate installation and activation. As of Thursday, November 6, Flow has restored 80% of pre-hurricane mobile traffic, with priority given to the hardest hit areas and key towns, including Negril, Savlamar, Falmouth, Black River. Efforts are now focused on restoring mobile services in other less affected areas. For fixed internet, 42% of Flow customers are now online, with another 23% able to connect once power is restored. Kingston and St. Andrew has 83% of customers that can already access internet. That's important, Jamaica, because we are the epicenter in Kingston for government and for all sorts of relief. So having full service in Kingston and St. Andrew is very, very useful. Electricity, Mr. Hugh Grant is here. I prefer Jamaica to hear directly from them, as I had committed before. And just to say that I got a brief this morning, which I know he will mention, in relation to the assets that he's having difficulties in getting to Jamaica. I'm sure by now he'd have gotten some calls, and we will get it done. We will get that. You have the assets ready, and we will get a ship, wherever it is, to bring them in the shortest possible time. Transportation, JUTC continues to assist for disaster relief supplies and also for personnel, both government-related and those NGOs who are requesting transportation. We are doing so free of cost. This is the big one now. Airports and ports. At Sangster International Airport, as of November 5th, 2025, 49 flights were staged, including 22 passenger and 27 cargo. For November 6th today, 31 flights are scheduled, all passenger and cargo operations. And at Norman Manley International Airport, as you know, operations have resumed, and on November 5th, 48 flights operated, including passenger, cargo, and military and private flights, with 42 flights scheduled for November 6th. Importantly, no scheduled flights have been cancelled at both airports in recent times. The Port of Kingston has fully reopened. Kingston Wharves provided 10,000 square foot of warehouse for the JDF, for humanitarian aid, and of course, free port services for relief vessels and discounted handling for relief cargo to speed up deliveries to the west. All major harbors across Jamaica have now been safely reopened, with Kingston Harbour was the first to resume operations on October 29th, followed by Montego Bay, Portland Bight, Rocky Point on October 31st, Rio Bueno and Discovery Bay on November 1st, while Ocho Rios, Falmouth and Port Antonio resumed on November 3rd. The toll remains open, and that is a situation that I have evaluated very carefully. The Fern Gully, which is the only other access outside of the junction St. Mary, which is not an option, is still single-lane traffic and has severe flooding issues. Therefore, it is important that the aid that's going to St. Anne, Trelawney, Montego Bay, Hanover, have access to a good road network. I will announce in due course when the toll will be reinstated. As for East-West, which is going towards Manchester, down into St. Elizabeth, down into Westmoreland, that is where a lot of the relief operations are taking place by road, and therefore it is the position of the government that we must facilitate that to be able to get quick and speedy recovery. I will close because everybody else will speak on the other matters that I would have normally spoken on. Just to say that in my discussions this morning at our 8:30 meeting, it has been confirmed that we have about 21 or 22 helicopter assets. And I have been confirmed by the JDF that that is sufficient to carry out the relief side of the operations. So we have no shortage of the assets in the air. What we are doing now, in our second week, is to streamline the relief operations in terms of the logistics. And we had an excellent meeting this morning that will continue. Private sector is working tirelessly with the government, international agencies. I'm sure that you will hear from ODPEM, obviously, on some changes that have been made, not only in management, but in also systems and structures. And to say that I'm very happy to see former UK High Commissioner Asif Ahmad here, who has come this morning in his Jamaica tie to help and work with the private sector and ODPEM to give us some of his well-needed experience. Congratulations on the appointment, sir, and I look forward to working closely with you in the days, weeks, and years, months, and years to come to rebuild Jamaica bigger and better. God bless Jamaica.